Conqueror's Haki is the ultimate flex in One Piece. It's a clear declaration that you're built different and only the strongest of the strongest get to obtain it. So without wasting any time, these are the most legendary Conqueror's Haki moments in One Piece.
おまけを引き連れてきたな。だったら最初から。おいルフィ、Z のいるところ聞くんだからな。
ルフィ、頼む。お願いね。
From One Piece film Z comes one of Luffy's coldest Conqueror's Haki flexes ever. One look and boom, the Marines drop like dominoes. Luffy's not playing games here. You can see it in his eyes. No fear, no patience, just straight power. He blasts them with a wave of Conqueror's Haki so strong that they're out cold in seconds. This is how you remind everyone you're that guy. It's one of the smoothest moments in the whole movie and one of the most effortless displays of Conqueror's Haki in the entire series. And let's be real, look at his drip. You can feel that Pirate King energy just pouring off him. It was a silent message to anyone who still thought he was a rubber kid. Nope, Luffy was already on Emperor time. While some fighters earn their Conqueror's Haki through tough battles and hard work, others are just born with that king energy burning inside them. That brings us to one of the most low-key, unforgettable moments when a young Ace, still wild and unpolished, proved that true power doesn't need permission. It happened during one of the darkest times in his childhood. Remember when Blue Jam and his crew had Luffy cornered and things were really looking bad? That's when Ace snapped. With zero training and no clue what he was even doing, young Ace let out a massive blast of Conqueror's Haki that dropped Blue Jam's crew right there on the spot, leaving Blue Jam himself stunned by what just happened.
Ora miro, Kyojin-kun. オークションは終わりだな。会いたかったぞ。 Monkey D. Luffy.
Next up, we've got Rayleigh showing everyone how a real legend moves in the middle of the auction hall chaos. Let's rewind to the Sarbodi archipelago, where things were going absolutely wild. The celestial dragons had gone too far this time, and just when it seemed like no one could stop the madness, the old man walks in. But this isn't just any old guy, this is the Dark King, the former right hand of the Pirate King himself. And the second Rayleigh steps in, everything changes. Unlike the wild, emotional blast we saw from young Ace, Rayleigh's Conqueror's Haki was calm, focused, and deadly. It was one of the first and still one of the cleanest examples of just how scary this power can be when it's mastered. No need to fight, no need to shout. Rayleigh's presence alone did all the talking. That right there is how a true king flexes.
なぜ止める？だけだ！麦わらや。
And just when you think you've seen every wild way Conqueror's Haki can shake a room, Luffy versus Doffy's Haki clash crashes into the scene. Let's go back to Dressrosa, a war zone already falling apart, where Doflamingo is about to stomp on Law like he's another piece of trash. But then it happens. Luffy steps in and stops him in one of the most iconic and unforgettable moments ever. When their Hakis collide, it's pure electricity. Doffy may have stronger kicks, but Luffy's hits land faster and hit harder. It's the first time we truly see see Luffy's will matching someone as cruel and as deadly as Doflamingo. This was more than a fight, it was two kings clashing, each trying to bend the world to their will. And in that moment, Luffy fought for Dressrosa. He fought as a leader, a brother, and a future pirate king.
鬼姫様
僕はワノ国を守るんだ。
なんて野蛮な力ずくで止めろ
止められるもんなら止めてみろ。
いい加減おやめくださいヤマト様
僕はおでんだ。
何が起こったんだ
And speaking of conquerors who were just built different, we gotta talk about Yamato. While Luffy and Dofi had to earn their power through years of battle, Yamato was born with that kingly fire already burning inside. Even as a kid, she had guts. She looked up to Oden in a place where even saying his name out loud could get you punished. Flashback to Onigashima, where young Yamato's only crime was dreaming too big. But when Kaido's men tried to shut her down, she wasn't having any of it. In a moment of pure raw emotion, she let out a burst of Conqueror's Haki that knocked everyone out cold, and Yamato's Haki feels like it was lightning. Most users fire it off like a wave that blasts enemies away, like a shockwave, but hers is heavy, like gravity itself is crashing down on you. It doesn't throw you back, it drags you to the ground. That was the moment Yamato realized she wasn't just Kaido's kid, she was her own person, a conqueror in her own right.
戻ってきた。
よかった。
ほう。逆らおうってことでいいのかね。
みんな。
こいつは俺の娘だ。それを奪うつもりなら死ぬ気で来い。
これが四皇シャンクスの覇気か。
やめときやしょう。
And let's move on to a moment that honestly felt godlike. Just imagine having such insane levels of Haki that it freezes everyone, even the people watching in theaters. In One Piece film Red, things go completely off the rails when Uta and the red-haired pirates get surrounded by the Marines. And yeah, Kizaru is there too. But then, out of nowhere, Shanks steps in and unleashes a wave of Haki so powerful it makes the Marines hesitate. They stop and they don't even try to fight. Look at Momonga. The guy's knees were shaking. You could see him struggle to stay calm. That right there shows how insane Shanks' Haki is. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't a speech, it was just a pure, unstoppable presence, a pressure so strong, even the strongest in the room had to back off.
あいつを。
ドフラミンゴなぜここに
Okay, if you want peak Doffy energy, we've got to rewind to Punk Hazard, because that entrance was straight up nightmare fuel in human form. After hearing that Law and the Straw Hats snatched Caesar Clown, Doffy didn't send someone else, he pulled up himself. And the second the Marines saw him, they knew it was a wrap. And oh boy, it was. With one dramatic pose, Doffy knocked out the Marines like they were nothing and still looked cool doing it. It wasn't even a fight, really. That's the thing about Conqueror's Haki, you don't need fists, you need presence. And Doffy's got enough presence to shut down a battlefield without breaking a sweat. He doesn't have to prove anything, just standing there is the flex. When Doffy steps in, it's not about power moves, he is the power move.
逃げろ小町よ。ああ。
Now, If you thought regular Conqueror's Haki was scary, just wait until Big Mom shows off her advanced version. The moment she channeled pure advanced Conqueror's Haki into a single punch and knocked out Page 1 was hands down one of the most jaw-dropping scenes in the entire Wano arc. And remember, Page 1 wasn't some random guy. He was one of the strongest members of the Toby Roppo, and Big Mom folded him like laundry. What's even crazier is that she wasn't even in full-on monster mode. She was just out shopping and sightseeing, literally Big Mom the tourist, and yet the Haki coating her punch hit with enough force to shake the street and one-shot one of Kaido's top guys like it was no big deal. That punch was a perfect example of what happens when someone masters the power of will-infused attacks that hit without even touching you. Enjoying these Haki moments? You know what you gotta do, don't you? Give this video a massive like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. If we're talking about the most legendary Conqueror's Haki moment, then there's no way we can skip the insane clash between Roger and Whitebeard. And honestly, it was the meeting of two kings at the peak of their power. The second their weapons swung towards each other, you just knew something unreal was about to go down. It felt like trying to push two magnets together the wrong way. Their weapons didn't even touch, but the sheer force between them created an explosion of energy that destroyed everything around them. That's how powerful their wills were. And to this day, this scene is one of the most cinematic showcases of what Conqueror's Haki can truly become when it's in the hands of real legends. Their willpower was so strong, the entire world had to back off and make room.
店長、赤髪を迎えます。
開石は下がってろい。
身が持たねえってのは一体。お前らどうした？
気失ってるだけだい。
すげえ覇気だ。
失礼。敵戦術機少々威嚇した。
If there's one moment that proves why Shanks is feared even without a devil fruit, it's the time he walked onto Whitebeard's ship and flexed Conqueror's Haki like a true emperor. I mean, who else walks onto a Yonko's territory and starts breaking the ship just by showing up? Shanks didn't come to start a fight, he came to give a warning about Ace and Blackbeard. But before he even said a word, everyone on that ship could feel the pressure. That's how powerful his Haki is. And the craziest part was that this was all passive. He wasn't even trying. He just walked in and the entire atmosphere shifted. That moment reminded everyone, Shanks isn't a Yonko for fun. He's a king amongst kings, and when he shows up, his Haki does all the talking.
外野がうるせえな。
どうせ立ってられねえよ。
王色、あのお猿を。
Now, if you want a Conqueror's Haki clash that feels less like a flex and more like a rite of passage, then you got to talk about Luffy versus Katakuri. Katakuri, Big Mom's undefeated sweet commander, was testing his will, and when the time came, both of them unleashed their Haki, their kingly auras slamming into each other like a thunderstorm. Inside the mirror world, the fight got real quiet, until it didn't. With Katakuri's siblings watching from the sidelines, both fighters had the same thought: get rid of the distractions, and boom, one burst of Conqueror's Haki and everyone else was out cold. But this clash had some intense respect. Katakuri had always looked down on challengers, but in that moment, he saw Luffy as an equal. Their Haki was so strong, it felt like the world itself was shrinking under the pressure. That was the moment Luffy proved he wasn't aiming for greatness, he was ready to stand toe-to-toe with the new world's strongest.
こっちが10人。数がいりゃいいってもんじゃねえだろ。
誰がビビってるだとこのクソマリも野郎。おい、ルフィ。
ルフィ様。
4億の首俺がもらった。さあ行くか。殺せ。
Let's rewind to Fishman Island, where Luffy gave us one of the cleanest, most powerful displays of Conqueror's Haki, and he didn't even break a sweat. Right after the time skip, the Straw Hats arrive and get caught up in the mess caused by Hody Jones and his 100,000 strong army. But here's the thing, numbers mean nothing when you're standing in front of a king. As Hody stood there feeling confident with his army behind him, Luffy stepped up, and with just one blast of Haki, he knocked out 50,000 enemies in a single instant. Half the army down before anyone could even blink. Even Hody was shaking. At that moment, he knew he'd messed with the wrong crew. Poor Hody and his boys. They were basically just there to be target practice for the Straw Hats after their 2 years of training. And let's be real, Luffy didn't disappoint.
その気なら分かったよ。口から尻尾まで串刺しにしてやる。顔そく。
おかしら急な覇気やめてくれ。
何も卑怯とは言わねえがよ、海軍。そんなに怖いか。
Next up, we've got Shanks stepping in once again to remind everyone that he's built different. Just when Wano thought all the chaos was finally over, an admiral decided to crash the after party. Things were looking rough, but then the wind changed, and with it came a presence so strong, the whole island froze. Shanks, still miles away on his ship, didn't even step on land. He just let out a wave of Conqueror's Haki so powerful that the sky literally darkened. From that distance, Shanks' Haki blasted through forests and mountains like a divine warning. This moment was a straight-up global power check. It showed that when the red-haired emperor gets serious, not even an admiral is safe. In the middle of the chaos at Marineford, Luffy let out a roar that shook the battlefield. His Conqueror's Haki didn't just knock people out, it announced to the world that a future king had arrived, and it hit at the most intense moment of the war. It all happened during the fight to save Ace. As Ace was seconds away from execution, Luffy charged through the battlefield past warlord marines, even clashing with admirals, doing whatever it took to reach his brother. But when Ace was almost hit again, Luffy screamed, and in that explosion of rage and desperation, his Haki erupted like a tidal wave. This was a massive burst of Supreme Conqueror's Haki, and it was godly. When Luffy uses his Haki, even the admirals have to pay attention.
Kaido! そいつはうちの船長だ。急騰竜、アシュラ。
And just when you thought Luffy was the only Straw Hat with that kingly aura, Zoro steps in and literally breaks the ceiling. During the rooftop battle in Wano, while the worst generation was struggling to hang with Kaido and Big Mom, Zoro did something that even shocked Kaido. In a moment where everything was falling apart and the crew's survival was on the line, Zoro unleashed Asura, Dead Man's Game. Just raw, unmatched sword skills powered by Supreme Haki. This is the moment we all knew he's a born conqueror, a warrior meant to fight alongside legends. Everyone else in One Piece is strong in their own way, but Zoro is a man. You can't help but respect him.
インパクト
Up next, we've got Garp versus the Blackbeard Pirates, and this is what you call a legendary flex from an old lion who refuses to back down. This was the moment the whole fandom lost its mind. For years, fans argued, does Garp have Conqueror's Haki? I mean, come on, he's Luffy's grandpa, he fought Roger, and he helped take down rocks at God Valley. Of course he had it, and Galaxy Impact was the proof that we needed. With one punch, Garp shattered the ground, shook an entire island, and knocked out a bunch of Blackbeard's crew in a single blow. Get this, he was holding back. Even in his old age, Garp's Haki is so strong and so controlled that everyone around him had to admit this guy is still a monster. Apparently, throwing insane punches while laughing like a maniac just runs in the family. Lastly, we've got the most iconic Haki clash in all of One Piece. Luffy versus Kaido. This was honestly history in the making. It was the first time we saw Luffy fully coat his attacks with advanced Conqueror's Haki, a power only the absolute legends can use. And Kaido met that energy head on with the raw, beastly force that made him a Yonko. Every punch from Luffy hit harder, packed with his will, and started pushing Kaido back. But Kaido just smiled like he'd been waiting forever for someone who could actually keep up. And Luffy smiled too. These two were loving every second of it. This clash proved something huge. Luffy had officially reached the level of Roger and Whitebeard. He was even standing as his equal, a rising king in a battle of giants where only the strongest survives. And that wraps up our list of the most legendary Conqueror's Haki moments in One Piece. Which one got you hyped the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more anime bangers.